Hey folks, DIY Dad here, and today we're working back on the Magnum. I know it's been a while, so I'm glad you're here. I got a check engine light probably about 2 weeks ago, and when I checked it, it was the P1520, which is the oil pressure sensor. I checked the car's dashboard computer and confirmed that, because even with the engine cold and not running, it showed I had 100 psi of oil pressure, which of course is not possible with the car not running and it being off. So that to me confirmed the fact that the sensor's gone bad. Now, is there a chance it could be some wiring? Yes, but chances are it's just the sensor, so we're going to replace the sensor today. And if you remember, I did this video, which I'll put a card right up here for, that had me changing the oil temperature sensor, and I got a little flack from some people claiming that it was the wrong sensor, or I called it the wrong thing. But the oil temperature sensor is actually underneath the alternator, which you'll see in my video and then that I made, where the oil pressure sensor is actually up next to the alternator. So it's two different sensors, and last time it was the temperature sensor. This time it's the pressure sensor. So I'm gonna show you there's a couple of different ways you can change that sensor. You can take the alternator out, and of course you'll have to take the serpentine belt off first and then the alternator out. If you take the alternator out, please disconnect the battery. Anytime you work on the alternator, you want to disconnect the battery first. It's a safety issue. You don't want to get shocked. Or you can just take the serpentine belt off, and that will give you a little better access, because you'll see in a minute when I show it to you where it actually is. I'm going to do the serpentine belt off first, because I don't feel like taking the alternator out. It's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you don't have to take it out, don't. So we'll give it a try and see if we can get it. You're going to need for this is a 2007 Dodge Magnum, so you're going to need a 22 millimeter deep socket to get that sensor out. Just so you know, I had to buy one because I didn't have one. So learn from that you going into it, you're going to need a 22 millimeter socket. So we're going to check the my little Autel code reader and show you the code, and then also show you the way you can get the code without a code reader. Most of you all who own Dodges and Chrysler products know the key dance in order to display the code, but we'll do it anyway, see if I remember it, because I've had that code reader so long I've forgotten. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are inside the car, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the first of all, here's my little Autel. It's connected, but I haven't run the diagnostic yet. It's an Autolink AL419. It's old, it's simple. I wanted to buy something cheap but reliable, and so far this thing's been really good. I've been really happy with it. But it doesn't have any of the fancy stuff that some of the $1,000 diagnostic tools have. So, but it does what I need it to do, and it works on just about every car I've used it on. I even use it on the infamous Saturn, and it's got a much simpler computer system. So what I noticed with the car is, and again, I'm not going to start it, but you can see here that it's got the check engine light is on, and it's got, for those that are curious, since the last time I recorded it, it's got 132,526 miles on it, for those of you that like to keep track of that. Now, while I'm here, I'll just try to do the key diagnostic first. I don't use it very often, so forgive me. Those of you who use it all the time can remember, but I'm going to try to get it to read that way. Alright, there you go. So it's P1521. P0520, and done. So what that is, the P1521 is related to the pressure sensor, or the pressure sensor. So they're both related. So that's why there's two different codes there. So let's look at the Autel. So I'm going to make the connection with the car. Keys in the on position but not running. There, let me see if I can get you guys to see that. There we go. So it's communicating with the car at this point. Kind of like dial-up, for those of you who remember dial-up internet. And really, because this is a 2007, there's not as many modules in this computer. So your more modern cars, again, this is not a high-speed device, so that's why it's taking longer, but I can imagine how long it would take with a modern 2023, 2024 car. Alright, so we're going to start, we're going to run the diagnostic. The key's in the run position, but the car's not running. And let's see if we can establish a connection with the car. We should hopefully be able to do that. Yep, okay, so that beep indicates that the mill is on, which is the check engine light. So let's check the engine computer. In this car, we have choices between the engine computer and the automatic transmission. So we know we're not having any transmission issues. So we'll hit the engine, read codes. There we are, the P1520 engine oil pressure sensor switch circuit. And then, as you can see at the top there, there's 2 more codes stored, so we can scroll through. That's the second one, and the P0524, which is engine oil pressure too low. So that's all related to the bad sensor. Those will all clear out, or we'll clear them out once we replace the sensor. But as you can see here, the little red light came on. That was the beep you heard, indicating that there's a problem. So this gave a little more detail. You notice that it did not have the P1521 on it. That is probably a dealership, or a manufacturer specific error code. So not all cars may have that. I would assume most Chryslers, or at least Dodges, have that, but probably most Chrysler products will, but you may not get that in a GM or a Ford or a Chevy, you know, the GM products. So we've confirmed the problem, and so now we're going to go back out to the engine, and I'm going to show you the part, and we're going to get going on fixing this. So let's go out to the engine. Okay, so here's the part. This is the sensor. This particular one's from United Automotive. Here's the part number. I believe I got it off Rock Auto. You can get it wherever you want. It was not the most expensive, not the least expensive. I generally don't like doing jobs more than once. But here's the part. We'll take it out of the box here. So it comes with Loctite on it already. This is it, and I was wrong, or I said in the intro that it was a 22 millimeter. It's a 1 1/16 socket. Now, if that equals 22 millimeters, I can't remember the conversion, but you need to be able to do this with it, otherwise, and it has to be deep enough for it to fit in there. So 1 1/16 US, it may equal 22 millimeters, which is maybe why I said that in the beginning. But anyway, so this is it. And if you watch my oil temperature sensor, you'll see that the sensor itself looks completely different from this. So I'm going to insert a picture right here of the connection that where the connector is going into the sensor. What I did was I took off the serpentine belt, and also I've got a video on how to replace this tensioner pulley and the idler pulley, and in that there's a diagram for the tensioner belt if you need a diagram. So the actual sensor itself lives, if you see this bolt right here, it's right under here. There's a wire that comes down. You'll feel the connector is right here. So this is the pressure sensor. The temperature sensor, if you come around here, lives down here, right around where the oil filter is. That's the best landmark I can give you for that. You can't see it from up here. I actually had to get it from up underneath when I did the original video. So don't confuse the two. So this has, I believe, the Dodge lock clip. It's got one of the two different types of lock clips. Oh, and by the way, I removed the air box part so you could see better, and I have better room. But I think it's got a lock like this, so you're just gonna have to bring it back before you unlock it. Again, you Dodge folks are used to these locking clips and how much of a pain in the butt they are. They're even more of a pain in the butt when you can't see them. Like in this case, I cannot see this, so I'm gonna work on getting this off, and then when I get to that point, you guys can join me back. Alright, we're back. That probably took about 15 minutes off camera. Let me show you what I did. If you pan down here, I took off the EGR valve that was here, and that gave me all this room now. It's a lot easier than taking the alternator off, so I just laid it over there, and then we can reinstall that later. Just need two 10mm socket, or a 10mm to get these two bolts out. Be careful, there is a gasket here. It's metal, so you can reuse it, so you don't have to buy a new one. Again, that's the route I went. Now, the switch that we're looking for, I'm going to try to zoom in on it for you, is right there. Let's see if you can see the red. Let's see if I can get it to focus for you. I can't get it to focus, but I'll back off a little bit. That red, it's a slide switch, so it's the same kind of slide lock. So it's just like this EGR plug, except smaller. So you're going to have to slide it that way to get it to work, which of course was in the most inconvenient spot. Let's come around this way so you can get a good shot for me, please. So now I'm just going to remove the connector. Sorry if I'm in the way, I'm trying not to be, but it's just a push down. Just use a screwdriver and push that down while I pull. Remember, don't pull the wire, you want to just pull the connector. There we go. Alright, so there's our connector off. I can't get it out of there because it doesn't want to come out, but here it is. So see, it's one of those fun slide ones. Couldn't have been an easy one like this that you just slide forward. No, it had to be the hard one. And of course, the way the sensor was angled, it was just not gonna, it was angled in the completely wrong direction. Let me see if I can get this sensor out of here, or this connector out of here, and I can't. So I'm just gonna pull it up over here for now, try to keep it out of the way. Now we're gonna go with our 1 1/16 socket, and I've got a wobble extension. I'm not sure if this is gonna be all I need. I might need more extension, but it shouldn't be on there too terribly tight. These are generally just snugged on, and that's all you're going to need to do when you put it on. And this is a 1/2 inch drive, so there we go. Okay, perfect. And just got to twist it on. Alright, that is fully on. Make sure you're on lefty-loosey, not righty-tighty. There we go. It hardly took any effort to loosen that. Okay, it's getting a little easier. There it goes. Okay. Didn't have much farther to go, so it is actually inside the thing and it's leaking oil, which I did not anticipate it doing. So, there's the old sensor. So, see, it matches the new one. It's very different. The only difference is this brass part is a little thicker, but everything else is the same. The connectors are the same, so we're good to go. Alright, so I'm just going to stick it back in here. It is leaking oil slowly, so I kind of want to get, actually I want to start it by hand now that I think about it. So have a catch pan underneath. I guess if you wanted to change this in conjunction with changing your oil, that would keep it from leaking. Whoops, I just dropped it. Got the kitty bee. Alright, I guess we're going to have to do this the hard way again. Alright, I got it. Where's the... Oh, there it is. It's very tight working in this little space. There we go. Finally got it to grab. Alright, again with the Loctite on there, I've tightened it about as far as I can tighten it with my fingers. Going back to the socket. Let me see if I can tighten it a little bit by hand with the socket in my hand. See if I can get anywhere with that. Nope, a little bit, but I just can't get enough purchase in that little area. So I'm going to hook it back up to the ratchet and just make sure I'm on righty-tighty and get the connector out of the way, and we're going to be off to the races. Get it back in there again. There we go. Alright, it's just going to be a matter of tightening it up. Okay, it's in. I'm not going to lie, that was a pain. It would definitely have been better with power tools, but you see this is the brass right here. That's the new sensor. It's in, seated. Right now it's oriented like this is down. When originally it was in, it was on the side, so wherever it stops, you're just gonna have to figure it out. Hope that it stops at a good spot. Mine did not, but at this point I don't care. So I'm just gonna plug the connector back in, like so. Here, let me get this light over here. Maybe that'll help you see what I'm doing a little bit. So it's the red part is down on this sensor at this point. So I just gotta figure out how to line it up blind. Make sure it didn't. Okay, yeah, it's still on release. There it goes. Okay. It is in there, and now I'm going to use a flat head to click the lock back over. It's not terribly essential if you can't reach it the way your plug is oriented, because it should snap in to begin with. The lock is just an extra preventative measure. So I'm going to off camera put the EGR valve back on, and then we'll come back when it's all back together and put the belt back on and everything back together. Again, if you need reference for the belt, you can look at my tensioner and idle pulley video, and there's a schematic for the belt there. And we'll come back and we'll check and see if we've still got our codes in and see if we have oil pressure. So I'll see you inside the car after we're all done. Well, actually, we'll show you what it all looks like put back together, then we'll go to the car. Alright, as you can see, it's all back together. The EGR valve's back on, the air cleaner's back on, and we're good to go. We're going to go in the car, we're going to rehook up the diagnostic tool, and we're going to see, I'm not doing the key thing this time, just using the diagnostic tool. Haven't started it yet, so we're going to hook it up and see if that code's still going to be, which I know it's going to be there, but we're going to turn the car on while the diagnostic tool is hooked up, and we'll see if we can get rid of the code. Okay, so let's go over to the car and find out. Alright, here we are in the car. Let's start it up and see what we got. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a pain in the ass to put it all back together again. Alright, right now the check engine light's still on, so let's pull up the computer, because I might have to, I'm gonna have to clear the code out, which is what I expected, so we'll let it get back connected again. There's the tone for the mill. Alright, yep, there's a whole bunch of them in there now, because I disconnected the EGR valve, so it's giving us all these, and the intake sensor, so it's giving us all these codes here. So we're just going to delete them all. That's just because we disconnected all that stuff. So let's go back and clear them. If you don't have a machine like this, you can just disconnect the battery for about 10-15 minutes. That should clear the codes also. I may have to start this and or turn it off and restart it again. Yeah, I might have to do that. So let's see, let me run the erase codes one more time. Alright, let me check. Let's go through the menu. See if we're getting a signal from the sensor here. Oops. I don't go through these very often, so. Okay, see now we've got, that's water temperature. Alright, see now you know it's working, because now it says that's your oil pressure, and now I've got 49. You just saw it change from 50 to 49. And it just went up when I hit the gas. So now we're getting a good reading, so you know the sensor is working. And it may take an entire drive cycle before that check engine light goes off, but at least now you know that the sensor is actually working, because last time that was pegged at 99. So let me turn the car off and see if that. Like I said, sometimes these things take an entire drive cycle before they turn off again. So we're going to go with that, because it's just going to take a drive cycle. But there you go, that's how you replace that oil pressure sensor. Again, link the oil temperature sensor one on there, and if you need to help with the serpentine belt and the EGR valve, I have videos on both those too, and you can look at those too. I'll try to find the link for this tool if you liked that, and or its more modern version, and then they have a whole bunch of other more expensive ones, so whatever's in your budget you can pick one, but I happen to like Autel, so there you go. So we replaced that pressure sensor and we should be good to go. We'll see you next time. on the DIY Dan channel. Hey folks, just as a follow-up to let you know about the check engine light, because my scanner is limited, that's why it really didn't wipe out those codes. So what I ended up having to do was disconnect the battery, and I left it disconnected overnight. You don't have to do it that long, but that's how long I chose to, and that has cleared the code. The engine light's off. If you have a more expensive tool, that should actually clear all those codes out. Mine's a cheap tool and it doesn't always clear codes out. I forgot to mention that when I was recording it earlier, because now this is about a week later that I'm recording this part to update you, but just to show you. Alright, so here we go. Let me get you lined up over here. I know it's dark, but it'll light up in just a second. No code, no light on, good to go. And I did the key trick, and that showed no codes on it also. So there you go, just wanted to update you on that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, appreciate you.